This podcast contains discussion around depression and suicide. If you're experiencing feelings of sadness, depression, or thoughts of self-harm, stop and seek help now. There is someone waiting to talk to you right now on Lifeline's crisis hotline, 13 11 14, or call 000.
This podcast may also contain unintentional coarse language and political incorrectness.
It is episode 9 of You Wouldn't Be Dead for Quids. Welcome. This is the Augustella Fellas podcast. It's a no BS discussion on what life throws at you and how you can deal with it. I'm Ruth Geis. I'm here with the Augustella Fella himself. He's our Schitt's Creek tour guide, Graham Cotter. Graham, how are you going?
Wouldn't be dead for Quids, Ruth.
That's the way. Now, today on episode 9, we are talking about feeling good. You know, in our discussion before we started to record, I think it's interesting, or it has been for me, realising how long it could take me to realise that I don't feel good. So I'm not really listening to myself. As in, you know, you literally wake up one day and go, oh, I don't feel that good. Like, I don't feel happy. I'm not happy.
I guess from that, what you just said there is, you know, the realisation that you do realise is something that's pretty critically important, because there's lots of people that don't realise what feeling good is because of for a number of reasons, and
or they don't realise they can feel good.
Yeah, they're entitled to feel good because you know they've spent their whole life feeling crap basically, but they don't know the difference. They can't distinguish. You know, that's the reality of it, sadly. You know, sort of things that happen in your childhood. You haven't had a good childhood, so you know, so you spend your whole life feeling don't know any different. Sort of brings me to remember the rapid transformational session I did with a bloke in his late 30s. Who you know, was diagnosed with social PTSD or whatever. But the thing about everything, you know, the problem that we have today is that everything's given you name something. But it was a very real part of his life, and he'd spent a lot of time in therapy and all those sorts of things. He'd pretty much socially isolated himself, and feeling good to him, it was totally foreign. You know, as we perceive it, but he'd withdrawn. He went to work every day, but there was nothing. You know, there was, you know, his whole existence didn't exist pretty much. And
wow, that's tough stuff.
It is tough stuff, and when we did the session, you know, he just said he wanted to feel, you know, he wanted to feel some emotions again. You know, because he'd buried them a long time ago. And when we did the RTT session, it was a direct result of the way he was treated as a child, and sadly watching the domestic violence in that family unit, and the way that he protected himself was to withdraw. You know, it was really, really sad, and you know, some of the part of the process was, and some of those scenes were pretty sobering, really, and for him to be able to go back in that RTT process and just sort of, how'd you say, reanalyse those things that had happened, being the person he is today, and you know, sort of being able to let that go. It actually, you know, take control back of his life.
So the emotions control you long after the event has occurred.
Oh, definitely, Ruth. You know, and you know, sort of on reflection, just my journey with the fear of failure and fear of being punished if I failed was, you know, the number of times, you know, since I come to that realisation of things that have held me back and caused me, as was probably, you know, the direct cause of why I finished up with the bowel cancer. So, you know, those things stay with us, and this bloke, you know, he didn't really have any sort of relationship with a partner and all that. But, you know, after we did that session and he had that opportunity to put that to rest and become, it didn't happen instantly. You know, he did the recording, and I stayed in touch with him and gradually slowly but gradually he started to notice big changes in his life. Took more, participated more. He went to work every day, but he participated more in the work environment more than he'd ever done previously, and they just sort of blended into the background as if he didn't exist. In his mind, he didn't exist. So,
wow.
Amazing how the lengths we go. So, feeling good to him. Well, he didn't know what feeling good felt like, basically. So to feeling,
I know for me, feeling good is everything. I know a few people in my life. It's a bit of a bugbear, actually, Graham. Just going to bring it up right now. Seeing we're sort of having feels like a bit of a therapy session. I'm just going to share this with you, Graham. So I know a couple of people, if you ask them how they're going, we say, hey, how you going? They're like, I'm living the dream, Ruth. And it's, clearly they're not. And I'm a big fan of sarcasm, but whenever I hear that, I feel so sad for them. It's like, you can change at any time, like you like, mate.
That's exactly right.
Living the dream, mate. Cheer up. No, go and see Graham. That would be a better thing. Yeah. If there's reasons that you can't feel good, if you're left thinking, why don't I feel good? Most definitely it's probably a very good idea to have a chat, because the whole point is we are on this planet to enjoy it.
That's exactly right, Ruth. It's a journey we are placed here to enjoy. Sometimes we need to remind ourselves of that, and that's what mindfulness process is.
It's not meant to feel bad.
No, that's exactly right.
Like whatever your purpose is, I guess your life has whatever purpose you give it. And if you want to give it, I'm living the dream, then that's on you.
Yeah, exactly right. So looking back on my life, especially my working life, I say that there's never been a job that I didn't enjoy, and I had some crappy jobs. But it was all about like that mindfulness process. Our mind responds to the words we say and the pictures we make. So to change the words, change the pictures, and then you change the way you look at things. So, and as I said, I had some pretty crappy jobs over the years, but it's the way I approached them. And so you're feeling good about feeling good. Well, like I mean to say, it's all about your attitude, and it might be crap, but if you're feeling good about it, it make it feel good. So.
Yeah,
and it's not the painful drain that.
And it's the other thing is like it's not magic, as we kind of keep saying. So the young man you're talking about there, who just couldn't feel good.
Yeah.
Life did change for him, but it didn't change overnight. He didn't go bouncing out of your office. I assume he came out feeling a lot better than he did, but it took. Yeah. Change your words, change your pictures. Yeah. That takes time. It isn't instant, but it's just about as magical if you keep changing the way you think.
And that's why I do a recording as part of that process, and you must listen to that recording. And the same chap knew he wasn't place and had been to therapists and what have you for a number of years, and with no success there whatsoever, because if we have an issue, part of fixing that is to being able to identify it and say, a big part of the RTT process is the reframing it and saying, well, that's not me anymore, and be given the opportunity to put those things in the past, and get them out of your here and now and move them to the past, and then step forward into a new future, and feeling good about feeling good is how we should be.
And so from a Schitt's Creek perspective, it would literally be that if you find yourself up Schitt's Creek, you need to stop paddling. Stop paddling. And realise that instead of paddling like crazy and thinking, oh, this feels really bad, this feels really bad, this feels really bad, stop.
Put the paddle down. And there are answers there. And as I, say, continuously is that we have the answers. We have the answers within us, and we do need to take the time in some shape, manner of, we're not going to find them in the outside world, on Facebook or anywhere like that.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes part of the RTT process and the mindfulness process is about listening to yourself.
Trusting the intuition.
Yeah, trusting your intuition and the answers are there, like sometimes, in case it was entrenched, it was, and what happened in his childhood was pretty horrendous. But looked at that, the connection between, what happened in his younger years growing up and where he was today, make that connection and say, I understand now. That level of understanding as to why. And once you understand why, and you can let it go.
Yeah. Drawing to the end of this episode, I guess, if you're feeling bad about feeling bad, then it's time to stop and listen and think, how do I feel good? And, well, one of those obviously might be having a chat to Graham, if you feel you want to be able to just, jump on a Zoom call for 30 minutes and see whether there might be something there for the two of you to discuss. You can do that through kissbusiness.com.au, look at what is rapid transformational therapy, and just have a chat to Graham. Any final words, Graham?
I guess apart from the fact that feeling good is where we need to be.
So if ever you wake up and you think, you know what, this doesn't feel that great, then it might be time to do something.
More often than not, you have the answers within you. So it's a matter of either finding those answers or finding someone that'll help you find those answers to why you're not feeling the way you should feel. And it might be mindfulness, meditation, or just what you need. But always keep in mind, our minds respond to the words we say and the pictures we make. So, so change the words, change the pictures.
But if you do find yourself up Schitt's Creek, don't forget there's a tour guide there. Graham's right there. He's been just down about every single tributary. So by all means, have a chat. Now, what are we going to be chatting about in our next episode?
Maintaining a heightened level of awareness, Ruth, and there's some awareness of what we think and all the rest of it, how we think.
We will talk to you in episode 10. Don't forget, it feels good to feel good about feeling good.